just disciplined to teach Malcolm a lesson, to save Malcolm's life, to keep Malcolm out of the public while the people were angry as all get out that Malcolm would say such a thing over the death of a man as charismatic and as loved as John Fitzgerald Kennedy. But it was during that time that Malcolm was silenced. I was the brother that was called to New York to speak on that next Sunday in Malcolm's place. And after I spoke, Malcolm came to the mosque and picked me up and drove me to his house where I had dinner. Betty Shabazz fixed the dinner. Malcolm and I were sitting in the dining room by ourselves. And during the dinner, Malcolm told me about Elijah Muhammad's domestic life. And he asked me, after he told me that Elijah Muhammad had fathered these children, he said, what do you think about it? I said, brother, I think that there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. Malcolm took me to the airport, and these are the words he said to me. He said, Brother Lewis, he said, I wish that you wouldn't tell anybody what I said to you today. I said, no, sir, I'm not going to tell anybody but the messenger. Now, Malcolm taught me how to respect the messenger. And when Malcolm deviated from the messenger, as much as I loved him, I could not walk with him because that man is the father of us all. And I looked at Malcolm as my brother, my friend, and my teacher, but don't go against our father. So the next morning, I'm back in Boston. Malcolm calls me at 5 a.m. time for prayer. And he said, brother, I wish you would give me some time so I can get a letter off to the messenger explaining why I said what I said to you. I said, well, brother, it's going to take me some time to get my head together to write it. So if in that time you can write him and explain yourself, you do that. But I don't want to get involved in no dispute between two powerful persons. He said, well, brother, there's only one powerful man, and that's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I said, I'm aware of that. My wife sleeps. She don't know what's going on. I can't sleep because my head is messed up. You telling me that the fountainhead of my righteousness now has fathered children from some of the sisters. I'm upset. I get up and I sit down and I open my Quran. And I open the Holy Quran to the 33rd chapter and I start reading. And it talks about the wives of Muhammad and how the missionaries called Muhammad a voluptuary. They started slandering him because of his wives. I called Malcolm back immediately and said, Malcolm, I found something. I got to show you. He said, well, come on. At that time, you could go from Boston to New York for $14 on the airplane. I spent my last $28, got on the plane and went to see Malcolm. Malcolm came, that same blue Oldsmobile that's at Malcolm X College. He came and we drove around. And I told Malcolm what I found in the Quran. And Malcolm's answer to me was, I already know that, brother. But don't you say nothing about it, because you frankly can't handle it. Let me handle that. I said, yes, sir. When Malcolm told me he knew that from the Quran, he knew how to defend the position of his teacher. But when, after the 90 days was up, the teacher put him out because he was going to various ministers telling them about the messenger's domestic life, that's when the messenger put him out. Anger sets in now. Now, if you watch Malcolm, he's angry with this man. Now, look at Malcolm. Try to get inside his shoes a minute. When the movie came out, a week later, CBS did a thing on the real Malcolm or the true Malcolm, right? How many of you saw it? You saw Malcolm X with Mike Wallace telling Mike Wallace the private life of his teacher. Now, wait a minute. If Malcolm loves Elijah Muhammad and loves black people, he knew you were not going to understand. Jesus said, there are many things I could tell you. You can't bear it now. If you don't have a foundation for certain knowledge, if that knowledge comes to you, it can destroy your faith. Malcolm is now angry. And when Malcolm gets on Cupsonet show, on Jerry Williams show in Boston, Mike Wallace talking about the private life of Elijah Muhammad, every Muslim that loved Elijah Muhammad then began to hate Malcolm. You know why? Because that man is the fountain of our life. If you're going to attack that man in the public to destroy your ability to reason with the knowledge that God gave him for your salvation and mine, then we felt that Malcolm had become a traitor to that man and to you who are unborn. And there's not a Muslim that loved Elijah Muhammad that didn't want to kill Malcolm. Now listen to this. Malcolm's own work made every one of us a potential killer. Don't you know, I'm saying this today, there's a lot of people that love Farrakhan. And there's a lot that hate me too. But for some silly person to try to do me harm, when you see the good that I'm doing in transforming and reforming and inspiring black people to new levels of consciousness, but you would hate me because I believe that God came in the person of a man. Some of my Muslim brothers, I went to the Saudi embassy and I said in the presence of my son and my son-in-law, I said to them, I said, God has revealed to me that you are after my life. And I said, would you kill me? Because my interpretation of Quran and Islam is different from yours? Would you deprive my people of the last voice that they've got that cannot be bought? Would you kill me and deprive my people of a voice? I said, I want you to know that them same little gangbangers that got all them guns, I said, many of them love Farrakhan. I said, I got an army that you see and a bigger army that you don't know nothing about. I said, listen, I'm telling you what I told them at the Saudi embassy. There's one thing I learned from Elijah Muhammad: you don't be a punk for nobody. You stand up like a man and tell the truth. Don't bow down to nothing or nobody but God. I told him, if anything happened to me and it's sponsored under you, our people will rise up and kill Muslims all over this country. Did you hear what I said? The same spirit that we had 30 years ago is the same spirit multiplied in the people today. I'm saying this to you. Every prophet had a community of zealots. Go read the history, brothers. And every prophet had a community of zealots that when you rose up against that prophet, the people would rise up and kill you. There could be a doorman, there could be a sweeper, there could be a blind person. It don't make any difference. When you hurt the prophet, the people say you must die. The messenger don't have to give no orders to kill you. We were already ordered to kill by the love that we had for the man that gave us life. Do you hear what I'm saying?